Okay. Hi, welcome back to Dandelion Spirit Podcast, the podcast that explores resilience through trauma. I'm your host, Donna, with my older sister, Jules.
Hello.
And this week we're going to talk about something that's kind of bugging the heck out of me, and I know it's really bothering Jules and a couple older women I know. The 19th Amendment as the next target. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers February 11 of 25, I think it was last year, or maybe it was this year. They started to it was this year. This current administration tried to push the idea of taking away more rights from women, and they came out with the SAVE Act, SAVE. I don't know if that's ringing a bell for our listeners, but quick PSA, as always, this could be triggering, and sometimes our podcast is a little explicit, so listener beware. The SAVE amendment was meant to be, I don't know, your birth certificate as a woman had to match your name as your marriage certificate, which is impossible, basically, really. Native Americans, it was just a mess. And the House actually passed the SAVE Act, and it struggled through the Senate. Okay, this is controlling the vote, right? So keeping that in mind, I mean, what the heck is the 19th Amendment, right? It prohibits the federal and state governments from denying any citizen the right to vote based on sex. Okay, it was passed by Congress June 4th, 1919, officially certified August of the next year, guaranteeing women the right to vote. Now, this was a decades-long struggle led by generations of activists like Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, people like that. And the irony was Tennessee was the 36th state and the last one to ratify the 19th Amendment. But it did not mean instant voting equality to all. Black people, indigenous peoples, Hispanic, Asian American, they were still disenfranchised even after this passed through poll tax, literacy proficiencies, state laws, very individual state laws, still kept these groups from voting. 45 years later, you get the Voting Rights Act in 1965, right? The idea was to fully secure voting rights guaranteed by the 15th and 19th Amendment. 15th Amendment was allowing African Americans to vote. Starting in 1807, this is the part that kills me if you know anything about history or women's history. A right of any kind was taken away from women. So way back in 1760, when the founding fathers were trying to organize colonies, they didn't allow women to do anything. And then you had county lines and little colonies in the new America that had issues with boundaries. So they had to let women vote on certain things. There was a certain amount of suffrage. But then already by 1807, you're like, now the men are in charge. Let's get rid of all those rights or, privileges and suffrage we gave women. So in 1848, there was a resolution of basically called the Declaration of Sentiments, because women kept arguing, calling for equality and women voting, a basic right, voting, right? The Supreme Court of the U.S. struck it down. Lucy Brown and Alice Paul pushed after this, and they were very good activists, protesters. What these women went through was pretty extraordinary. Think of violence, think of submission, think of police, they were very active. Nothing really changed until World War I, when women had a little bit more power behind them by proving if women could fight and organize and nurse and care during the war, then why the hell can't we vote? Right? If we participated in war, why can't we vote? So Carrie Chapman Catt, she was an African American woman, huge pushed for the National Women's Suffrage Association. They needed to organize. Okay, this is our time, this is our moment, we got to kind of push on this, right? So 110 years after initial denial, the fight culminated in a pretty good argument for the 19th Amendment. I mean, they went to court. They petitioned, they protested, they marched, they rallied, they did lots of stuff. So 250 years, right, from 1776, there's not been much progress for women. And the Supreme Court just gutted the Voting Rights Act of 65. That was only 61 years ago. Okay, so you have 3 million women, right, south of the Mason-Dixon line, who still were disenfranchised to vote, even after the 19th Amendment was passed. And in 1926 in Alabama, of all places, right, women who were trying to vote were even beat by officials, physically beaten up and taken away from the ballot stations. So Native Americans couldn't vote until 1957. The GOP, like we know, during the SAVE Act is trying to get rid of the name thing. Your birth certificate doesn't match your marriage license. Married women, it applied to LGBTQ plus, how you register. So they're dumping names now. They're just literally dumping voting names off the rolls. That's why candidates like those in Texas lost. It was stolen, basically. But the idea is, if you think about Mason-Dixon line, for those of you who may forget, it was a historic boundary, right, between, separating Pennsylvania, Maryland and Delaware and West Virginia, but it became like the legal boundary between North and South. Free North, slave South. So think of what's happened in Georgia in just the last couple of years, and how voters have been threatened and people have shown up with guns at the voting, but it's not much different in the South. Fuck you, you're a woman, you don't get to vote, I'm going to scare the shit out of you, I don't care how long you stand in line. And states are starting to kind of want to get on board, especially in the southern states. They want to get on board with this. It's all about suppression of women, taking away that power. If you take 100 people and half of them are women, the rest of that half of power goes to the men, right? Men want to be in charge. You have to be white. You still have to play the game if you're white. You still have to comply and agree. If you're rich, if you're a white rich man, you're definitely part of the team. Taking away women's rights, Roe v. Wade, this is where we have to fight back a little harder, because this administration is going to push as fast and as hard as they can. Project 2025 mentioned things like the SAVE Act, and some of the authors of Project 2025 came out publicly. Of course, they tried to redact it. Came out publicly saying, 19th Amendment, get rid of it. What's it going to matter? Who's it going to affect?
I said that too. I printed that out because I knew someone said it and I couldn't find it when I kind of searched. When I searched the internet said, no. It literally said the current administration is not officially proposing to remove the 19th Amendment. However, certain conservative figures and commentators have previously floated the idea or criticized women's suffrage, and current debates over voting access has sparked major controversy. So I thought, okay, maybe I was wrong. But as I dug a little deeper, it was Pete Hegseth, June 10th, 2025. And he basically started it by saying, in my ideal society, in his ideal society, we would vote as households. And I guess this comes from a pastor that, I don't know, he's aligned with. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so Pete Hegseth was echoing that type of idea. I'm trying to think of a way to say it. He didn't really come out and say, I don't want women to vote, but he said everything but we want the household to vote. And that kind of, I was kind of like, it not only takes away women's power, it doubles the men's power. Not only does he get one vote, he gets two, and we get
That,
zero.
yeah, that's
You
what I
know,
meant.
like yeah, I don't think people really get that. I've sitting there like, no, and I'm like, well, if me and my husband think the same way, I'm like, are you not? No, 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 no. You're okay
Mm-mm.
with that? Like, then why should you pay taxes if he's voting for you? He should pay the taxes. You're not being represented. Like what is that? They're
If
like,
he
what
does
is that? I'm like, no taxation without representation.
representation,
And they look at me like it's who said that?
and if he dies tomorrow, what do you do? What do you
Right.
do?
Then
What do you do then?
so from their logic, there has to be an elder son, I suppose, or like in some other places, you marry the brother, or you're
Oh yeah,
absorbed into the brother's household, so to speak.
right.
I'm
Yeah,
assuming a male family member.
this idea that you're just like a little
Yeah. That's like, what if
figurine.
you're widowed, or what if you're? Yeah, it blows my mind. But again, it looks at us. It's the same as owning someone in a way. You're speaking for them. I mean, maybe I'm wrong or I'm being overly whatever, but that's how I see it. If I'm constantly speaking for you, I may have, the best intentions, but I'm taking away your power to voice your own opinion and speak what you want to speak. And, if that becomes just the rule of thumb, that again silences women, then any woman who speaks, it's like, whoa. And how is that not a First Amendment violation
How,
against
I
the
like
right to, I mean, we can't even protest.
I think of an analogy, right? Like, if you don't think it's a big deal, let me explain. Every child in school gets a C. No, 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 my child's smarter. They deserve a B. They deserve it. No, no. Just everyone gets a
Yeah.
C. But wait a minute. I do extra with my child and they're extracurricular and they work harder and they get A's on their exams. No, they get a C. You've taken away the intellect, the personality, the work, the voice of that child. Done, gone. What do you do? And I don't think people realize when like you said, like I said first, and then you kind of clarified better. You take away the women's side, that power has to go somewhere. It goes all back to the men.
Right.
Now it's become doubly so. And in international psychology, I'm doing a little bit of study on that right now. What is patriarchy in organizations, the workplace environment? And unfortunately, it's pretty much assumed, it's pretty much accepted. Why is the man the one who has all the leadership positions? Because we've kind of been conditioned to accept that this is kind of the way it is. And
I
it's
almost
very,
feel
very,
like because he's the one that showed up in camp with the dead deer and said, since I'm the best hunter, this is how it goes. I'm the one in charge.
yeah. Well,
Well,
yeah,
it was a there was multiple societies and cultures were matriarchal
they
before
had to be.
men got involved, so to speak, because everyone pretty much vibed together. I mean, it was about protecting children and having that community, just a very different. That community is really the key, I think. I say that a lot. I said community is unity, and like I told a coworker who voted for the current president, and we have very conservative and we have different opinions on things. I said, look, if it came down to it, if we were under threat, like we had a school shooting drill, I'm not going to be like, she voted for that guy. I said, no, you know what I mean? You're my friend.
Right.
We're going to, if you need food and I have extra, I'm going to, that you have a difference of opinion. You have a difference of opinion. You dye your hair or I dye my hair. You don't dye I go, I said, the human and women's rights are human rights. That's where her and I differ, because she gets stuck on the abortion thing. And I told her, look, it's a woman's body. This whole like conception, that's fertilization, and dude, can
That's
we just have or
that's
have
a
not a baby?
construct.
Like,
That's a
it's crazy to me.
construct.
It's
That's
crazy.
a,
Well, so is race. And people are adamant that if you're darker skinned or lighter skinned or have different kind of hair, which is simply a genetic trait, that you're a different, then why can that kidney fit in that guy? I'm like, you guys are just, it's just ridiculous. And people will, that's the hill they want to die on.
Yeah,
They want to
the
defend their
energy
racism. And I'm like, you're defending hatred of another person for no
for
reason.
no reason. For
Yeah,
no reason.
because they look different than you.
Yeah,
Like that child did nothing to you.
yeah.
I
Against
just,
girls, against girls
but
especially.
that delineation, they need that. Again, you need to be upset and scared as well, but it divides that community. Where before, yeah, my neighbor's kind of an ass and they're out there drinking beer and barbecuing and okay, but when your fucking truck was stuck, hey buddy, I'll help you out. You're my neighbor. When his
You're my
wife
neighbor.
had to do what, yeah, I helped her out, da da da. Because you're still, you do you, I'll do me, thank you, And I think people have somehow felt like they have to pick a side. And I
I
said, so
think
you're against, and so these are like, you're against women? If you believe that there should be a household vote, it sounds to me like you don't like women. You want people like, no, I'm like, then explain it that makes sense to me. And they really can't articulate, because I'm like, that's crazy. Other women that support that, super crazy. Like the majority of women that carry water for the patriarchy, I'm like, y'all just weigh us down, man. Why? It benefits
why?
you not at all. And you're discarded or whatever if you're inconvenient, or look at how many women they fired already from the White House.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I call the current climate the disease of me. It's about me. It's not about you. And people tend to believe, well, it doesn't affect me, so I'm okay. That's kind of a quiet. But when it does, and you honestly do need help, what do you do? What do you do? Where do you go? Your Uber ain't driving no more. How do you get to work? Well, I'll take the train. Are you going to get up early to get there on time? Are you going to be late and piss off everybody else you work with? Are you going to, are you ready for people to start jumping the gate at the pharmacy to just kind of steal drugs or what? Oh no, it's going to fucking happen. Watch a zombie movie. Are you willing? I don't understand when the pressure gets to a point where it explodes in the majority of people's faces. They do react. The weak die off first. They do stupid things. They try to use things that don't matter to save them, like money and technology. They hold their phone like it's some lifeline.
Again,
And yet,
I mentioned we had a drill, and my adults in the drill are the ones who freaked out my kids because they made these, and because they were panicked, or they were like, what do we, I thought it was, okay, were you reading your emails? Were you paying attention to what we're doing here? You understand? It was discussed, like, and then, but yet they could text their sister, oh my God, we're on lockdown. But they had their phones, and then they took the kids that were outside, they just put them on a picnic table. I'm like, what are you doing? What? And the kids are just talking, and and I'm just, I can't.
I don't. The kind of dismissive, unengaged, whatever, leave me alone, I'm doing my thing. I'm like, okay, bitch, when you start crying at me in August or something, but I don't want to hear it. I don't want you around me because you're too immature, too entitled, disease of me, too, and it's going to bite. Yeah, but it's going to bite some people. And the worst part about being raised that way is that's black, white, Hispanic too, to a degree. It doesn't matter how much money you have. The kids now are very disconnected. So
yeah.
If I asked everyone
it's shadowed in school as well.
Absolutely.
ABA is to give the child what he wants, to allow them to regulate or soothe the child, or, and these young parents not everybody, but a majority seems, oh, they're crying and they're throwing a fit, give them something. And I'm like, no, pick them up and carry them out of the store until she calms down.
Until she calms
What?
it. Right.
Yeah. Tell your child no. This constant handing of electronics is crazy. But
It's out of control, and
it they
it's
tell me
fake.
it's hard. Yeah, and you're gonna have that kid for another 14 years or only 4. Like it's gonna, yeah. That's what parenting is. You're helping them become a unique, their own person, but also able to understand a basic morality in society and hopefully do something in their life that gives them joy or makes them happy. Not everybody, but I mean, or maybe go to school or maybe do this. Like that's your job. And a lot of my parents are exhausted and they have first graders, and I'm like, well, we've got a long way to go.
You're not done, right? I
But
was.
that consistency is hard.
It
It takes
is,
away
and
from me. It takes away from me if I have to keep redirecting you.
therefore, then you
My
can't even
time.
do your
I don't want to get up from my dinner and walk outside because you're crying.
right.
I mean, these are actual conversations I've heard in restaurants. Like, I want to eat my dinner. Why are you crying? Like, not, whoa, we have some feelings going on. What's going on? Why are you upset? Take a deep breath. Okay, let's calm down. Let's calm our body down. Okay, what is the problem? I wanted this. Okay, well, and then you were eating it with your hands and we don't allow it at the table, or you were being whatever it was that they was taken away, or but so many times I see him just give or just hand them the phone. And I'm just like, it's the phone.
Back in the day, that's what you did, right? You're just like, oh gosh, hang on, excuse me, guys, and you pick the baby up for a little bit, take a short walk, whatever. Then you come back to the table at the
And
restaurant.
most people understood. Most people understood. Most people, oh, the baby's fussy, so the dad gets up and walks around a little bit, or mom leaves and goes into the bathroom with the baby for a while. Like, okay. I mean, I don't know. Now it's like this instantly soothe them. They shouldn't be crying. They shouldn't be fussing. But what they
Yeah,
don't get is that child can't be bored. They don't know how to be bored. It's very hard to get them to engage in anything they don't want to. They
right.
don't want to be told what to do. And in a basic school setting, please sit down, please be quiet. Like some basic stuff to have a regulated classroom and be able to teach. They have to follow basic directives. And these
Right.
kids, majority of them, I mean, I get told all the time, you're not my mom. And I'm like, no, I'm not your mom, but I'm asking you to sit down. I'm
Yeah.
telling you to sit down. I'm asking you nicely because I'm
These are
going to
n-
put you in that chair and you're going to calm down, or.
these are normal
But yeah,
social
I get told I'm not
guidelines,
my mom all the time.
probably all day long. Yeah, these are normal social guidelines that help you navigate the world. When you're at the airport, when you're in the restaurant, when you're at school, it's not making you a nobody or invisible. It's it's teaching you how to navigate the world around you, so that
And
when
be
there is a
proactive.
be proactive. When there really is a shooting at school and you're sitting down quiet listening to the teacher like you should be, you're going to be more apt to react instead of like, yo, bro, what's up? What's going on? Hang on. No, there's an actual shooting. We do drills for this. And people are like, no, it's not like that. It is like that because, I mean, I'm gutted at work when the Voting Rights Act was cut down. I was like, wow, you're awfully quiet
Yeah,
today. I'm like, the Voting Rights Act is gone. And they're like, the what? And I'm like,
people bled for this. People bled for this.
black and white.
And even the
This,
Voting Rights Act had some, it said that there was some equality there, but still not really access. And now you want to
exactly.
take, it's just, but
It,
isn't there the population roughly 50-50, roughly?
yeah,
Am
there's
I way off?
50.5% more women in the US.
Excuse me.
So 50.5% women, 49.5%
So
men,
literally half of the population
half of the
would have
population.
no voice, which I feel we have, the people in general, I feel have no voice. I mean, people
Well,
don't want data centers, and they want guardrails and AI, and they want all these, like, I think we should be, stockholders in our own data because they're making bajillions off it. Seems crazy. And every
And
time
that's
I turn around, my data's stolen, and they're offering me $12 or $20. This is a joke. But
yeah, it
anyway,
is
I digress. It's just like that's half the people. Like
of the entire
that can
country.
that what doesn't that make people stop and go, wow, it's kind of a lot of people. I mean the
And that's
trans
totally,
community is small. They're
that's
easy to
totally
bully and beat up on. But women, you're telling me you don't know a variety of women throughout your day and your life, and your what if you come from a big household that has, 4 or 5 sisters? You're telling me all of those women have no choice whatsoever?
right.
Oh, my
Right.
dad will vote for that. And then if he's got 3 or 4, like, does he get 4 votes? How does the household exactly work? What
Right.
if you're still living at home going to college? Then your dad gets to vote for you as well because you're in the house? Like, some of it
Technically,
is like, did you think this out the whole way? Or,
it doesn't make
this
any
thing
sense.
with birthright citizenship. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. But
And
it's,
the numbers too, I mean, I don't mean to interrupt. The numbers too are voting age. The 50.5% of the population in America that are women is voting age, right? I mean, you want them to have babies at 9 and 10 years old, but basically they can vote at 18. That's voting age. That's half the power. So if you want certain things and you bitch about your government, but you're the kind of person that never votes, get to the back of the class. Not only will you not get involved or read at all a little bit, but then you're going to try to dictate through your conditioned misogynistic, power
ideology.
play what to do. And that's the part that I think is going to surprise people when it tends to be more women that step up. Women, regardless, good, bad, mom, they're going to start to think of their community and their kids. Now, wait a minute. I pay taxes. Why can't my daughter go to the high school at the very end of the street? Well, your husband voted for. Well, wait, what about me? I have to drive my daughter 6 miles away in the streets of
I think
Chicago.
it'll impact people more so than that even. I don't know that girls will be allowed to go to school.
I don't think so
Why would
either.
we waste money on them? I
Right.
really, one of my coworkers was like, "Well, The Handmaid's Tale." I said, "Do you understand that she researched all the things in that book have already happened,
Yep.
primarily to minorities, people of color, etc." And to look on her face, I said, "Do you not know that?" And she was like, "Well, I thought it was a story." I'm like, "Well, it is a story. It's kind of like a fairy tale that forewarns you to not go into the woods at night because the wolves are there, so to speak." I go, but yet, and I thought maybe I'm too old. Fascism, Nazism was still fresh in people's minds. Kind of like I know they're kind of Korean War, maybe I try to talk to them about MASH or they don't get that. Vietnam is kind of too, but the good and bad, the fascism, the Holocaust, I mean, we could go on and on. Like you said,
Yeah.
Dachau would be another complete thing.
But it's like the young kids, like I just said last time at the pharmacy, we don't need to know history. It's now. It's now. I'm like, wait a minute. History gives you context and gives you a heads up. There was a debate between Brave New World in 1984. And I remember some people were thinking, in terms of literature, right? Aldous Huxley and Orwell and stuff. Well, this is your ideal from your time. And this is my reality that I see from my time, and it juxtaposes. And it's true. If you read some of these things, it's kind of almost current, like The Handmaid's Tale. It's almost like, we're going to end up this way because this little piece in chapter 5 is already happening. Or it's like a warning. It's fiction, but at the same time, it's
Yeah,
not
but history shows
unreal.
you patterns. The
Yes.
way that the wealth is distributed now to that top 1% is exactly, and how AI is supposed to push between 10 and 20% unemployment. Uh, you remember the Depression? That's exactly the numbers. Like,
It's a
I mean, even if you
77
don't
years.
know a lot about the Depression, you kind of know it was bad, right?
Right.
People struggled to make ends, right? It's called the Depression. And like people are like, well, that was the 30s. I'm like, no, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. Those similar mathematical, money, social patterns are the
Driving force.
same at it's a pattern that shows it's unsustainable and there's a collapse and they're just like and I'm like I'm
There
not
tends to be 70 to 80 years difference. That was 77 years ago. 77 years before the Depression was another one, right?
would say just
If you,
goes off the radar, goes off the map, bloop.
I mean,
It's just crazy.
what was the Depression? Like you said, it depressed everything. You had robber barons, the 1%, literally in charge all over the world. Expansionism, imperialism, industrial revolution.
Kind of echoes some of what's happening. Not industrial, but an AI revolution.
But in AI, right? I'm not going to give you a raise, but I can give you a job for 7 days a week. Okay, my God, I got to feed my kids. I'll take the job. Um, a lack of enough for the modern man. Issues with some food. You know, why do all the Gatsby characters have all the best food? Why can I not, why are more and more people starting to get laid off? And wait, I need to go to my bank and make sure things are safe. How come things aren't safe? Next thing you know, stock market crashes, suicides go up like 56% or whatever it was, and you have the Great Depression. And then on top of it, agriculture. You end up with the Dust Bowl the exact same time. What's happening right now? Farmers are filing
Yeah.
bankruptcy at an unprecedented, they can't keep up with the bankruptcies. You have global distribution issues, partly because of the Dust Bowl and the Depression.
And
It doesn't
Twitter
take
promos.
a whole lot of research. It doesn't take a million books to understand what people were thinking
Right,
and
to
going through.
recognize a pattern. It's
It's
yeah,
a
I
pattern. You, when you are so quick to disregard history and live in the here and now, right now, because this is cool and this is me and this is us, and bullshit. This generation still doesn't have an identity. They still struggle with identity crisis, male, female, or otherwise, because they're so glued to the phone and the image and the idea that's constantly 24/7 projected that they really don't know. What are we the generation of? What are we?
well, part of that is they're plugged into content not for them. As
Yes.
a person that works at an elementary school, they deal with things that are at an adult level or concepts they don't understand. I had a student in like third grade ask me what Occam's razor was. Like he was like it came up in his algorithm and he was like, what is this? And I was like, what? Like, you know, or suddenly they'll be like talking about the Titanic
Yeah.
and because they're on YouTube and some funny fish guy or sharks, and then the next thing you know, I don't know, it's shipwrecks, and then I mean it's a and they're often exposed to many things that they really don't understand. They don't really
No.
understand uh, a lot of things because they don't have the experience. They're young, they haven't been exposed. Da da da. Plus, they don't think there's a lot of dialogue going on about what these kids are playing online, watching online. They're in the chat rooms online. I mean, I don't think the parents, I don't know if they're disconnected in a sense of they don't care, which may be the case. They might think whatever. Or if it's, like I said, the babysitting and music, just do whatever, dude. Just stop
Right.
crying or just fine. And I unpack kids' lunches too, and I'm like, what is this? This is
Right.
candy and strawberries and crackers. No sandwich, no like,
Yeah. So
and
do
they
you
wonder why the
see?
kids cranky when they pick them up. And I'm like, well, they don't eat food for one, and
Do
they
you?
pick their lunch. Of course, it's going to be a donut and strawberries. And
Right. Little
I mean,
Debbie's.
the aunt was like, oh, I didn't know she'd do that. Well, okay,
What?
like just
Do
think
you
back when you were a kid.
Well, yeah. Do you find in some of the kids, so they have no context? For example, you said Titanic. Okay, they have no context, but then they don't react like a normal kid who's curious, do you find that that's broken too? Because then that would make you go read something or look out more history, or why do we keep hearing about this big boat, the Titanic? Does that,
Um,
is the curiosity gone too, or?
Kind of only if they're on the TISM, or ADHD, because they'll funnel into something and then they'll dig into it, or they've had it like uh, the little fifth grade girl that her parents took her to see, I believe it was the Queen Mary, and they talked about the Queen Mary, and then she went to New York or Jersey, something like that, but again was able to either see, like, it was a big Navy ship, I don't know, it's something going on with her dad, but
Mm-hmm.
she had more of an interest in big ships because she had that actual experience. But
Okay, yeah.
most kids kind of funnel into something they like, and if they really like it, though, that's why to get them to read, people are like, how do you get them to read? We're reading about motorcycles. How did you get them to read? We're reading about cold air intake in Nissan cars. What? He's reading. Like, they think I'm crazy, but I have one girl who's crazy about horses. So a lot of her reading that she was doing was at her level ish. And I just kind of upped her game a little bit and threw in a couple easy books and upped her game a little bit. And now she's boom. So
Yeah.
I don't expect everyone, the parents, to know how to do that. But I always tell them, find something he wants to read. I don't care if it's about
Right.
his favorite football team. I don't care if it's a book about the Raiders, you know. I don't care
Exactly.
what it is. Find something to read. And it's important that they read. If you don't practice, it gets hard. And these kids nowadays will not try. They'll just shut down.
Yeah.
So, and I got third graders that can't read. It just,
Yeah. It's crazy.
don't get me
And I
started
wonder
on No Child
too,
Left Behind, but
well, I wonder too, there's a key adaptability component that's going to have to be injected pretty hard in the next generation, or else they won't have careers and jobs. Look at all the computer geeky kids who are 24, 25. They can't get jobs right now. They're like, they
it's,
cannot get jobs right now. Okay. I get that.
the
That's
jobs are
important.
gone.
Understand the technology, understand. But people say, well, what do they do then? Do what you can do. Like, for example, my phone can be hacked at any time from anywhere in the world, however many times from anybody, and I may not even know. But it's going to be harder to try to rob me, find my wallet, take the cash or the ID. So I pay cash right now. Oh, well, why would I have my life on one little device that's not
Well, did
organic?
you have, okay, you have critical thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry,
it's
but
the
a lot of these younger kids cannot, for one, they can't be proactive. I can't reach the sink. Do you know that there's a stool under the sink? Yes. You need to open the doors to, oh, I mean, it's like, I don't have, why are you sitting here? Because I don't have a pencil. You need to walk to the thing, get the blue caddy, get the pencil out.
yeah,
Why are you sitting here? I need to sharpen my pencil. Ah, you raise your, uh,
yeah.
basic stuff, basic stuff, let alone critical thinking. You have to have multi layers of understanding to be able to think critically. And they
Correct.
don't. They're, now, if you
Or
want to
be
talk about
or
K-pop
be open
Demon
to being
Slayer,
taught.
you want to talk about anime, you want to talk about that kind of stuff, they'll tell you all about it. But if you want to talk about different books they've read, different thing, we exposed our kids to Wizard of Oz this year. They were
Wow.
like blown away. They think it's awesome. Like we showed them the original movie. They couldn't, they were blown away. I mean, the kids that don't watch movies that were like, the
Glued.
lion, it's crazy. I mean, they were just blown away. Where I can put on a Disney movie and they're like, whatever. I mean, they're like, probably because they've grown up with them.
It's
But
yeah. It's like the disconnect between generations in terms of, you'll maybe a Instagram or a YouTube short or TikTok, whatever. Here's a hack for nachos, and I'm like, you read the comments and you're like, it's not yours. You didn't invent that. This has been going on for
right,
like 40 years. A basic college student how to make nachos. It's And they do try to change the language to claim it as theirs, which is why I'm frustrated in the younger women nowadays who don't look at the Voting Rights Act or the 19th Amendment or Roe v. Wade. I said, what do you guys, do you not see how you feel powerful, but you do nothing to solidify it the right
They
way?
feel powerful and they think they have equality, but if they really tried to access healthcare, they'd be denied. So it's
They'd be
kind of
denied.
like a denial, a little bubble of, but you're young and healthy too. I mean, I was also young at one point, and you're going to live forever and be able to do this and that. And then you get older faster than you ever imagined. But I mean,
Yeah.
again, I think it's a false sense of security or they really don't think these men around them would turn on them. And I tell them they absolutely would in a
Yes.
heartbeat. Men get quite ugly. We've seen that in multiple situations where they don't just have control, but they have the power leverage, whether they're a police officer, an ICE agent, the warden at the prison. I mean, that's a basic, legal thing, but in any other aspect, even the pastor at your church, the teacher in your school, that authority figure power, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of girls come out and say this is what happened, and right away you're called a liar, you're called, and I tell them, you don't think these men would turn on you? Like, you carry water for them, but you're going to drown in it, because when it
They're
really comes down to it,
yeah.
they'll say,
Man.
I'm this, I'm beautiful. What about when you're older? Then you think you're still going to be around? He's going to get a young wife and start all over.
It's not a generalization, but in a way it's kind of a fair one when you think about it, because men's gut reaction is to be powerful and kind of
Right.
muscle through. I mean, all of my private lessons right now for swimming are all men. And the very first month practically I have to teach them is leave the muscles aside. You trying to power through the water like this major athlete, it's
You're expending energy everywhere except where you need it to go.
exactly right. But yet you want me to just have babies like it's not a major survival
Right.
moment.
But then you want to jump in the water and dominate the water. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I don't understand. Having a child risk your life.
Every single one. Every single one
Risk
of
your life. You can have 2 or 3 children, then have a horribly complicated pregnancy or lose a child. Like, people, and for men to think that's a whole nother part of it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow,
I
okay.
I
My life is
definitely
worth nothing.
right. I mean, I believe that some of that conditioning over the last couple hundred years, some of that, ingrained accepting, it's partly women's fault to a degree, but this is like the moment for once and for all in America anyway, to like stand up. Think of the president in Mexico. She's just like, no, healthcare for all. We're done with this crap. It's 2026. I'm like, yes, it's that simple. You declare it, you fight for it, you try to make it work and see if it does. That doesn't
This
mean
administration has done the same thing, but with their own private
yes.
projects. So,
Exactly.
like, I don't think you could forgive all student loans and shit, right? I
Exactly.
mean, there's some things that are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he's taking chunks of money to do it he's taking the money from the parks to do this and from here to do. So,
Yeah.
you're telling me there couldn't be some money manipulation? Plus the Pentagon budget, ridiculous. Just
No, it's
ridiculous.
stupid. I mean,
People are
even
hungry and we're trying to go to the moon and build a moon base. What are we doing?
well,
What are we doing?
even Hitler, I'm like, this didn't happen overnight, but it took 7-8 years, but he came in hard. First of all, elected legally, basically, is how Hitler started. Legally, officially became chancellor.
Right.
Then he's like, okay, the stuff I got to
He
break
ran on
apart.
nationalism.
The first thing I got to break apart first is on the inside. All the government, White House stuff is what you would want to break apart first, and that's what he did with Parliament. Even so far as just killing Parliament leaders and being like, okay, be gone.
Yep.
Then he started to do what he wanted, because you have, it's okay, whatever, among the public. Holy shit, I can't speak up, I'll die, among the public. Suppression, So it started to grow into a
And the
huge
Kool-Aid drinkers,
cool.
the
Exactly.
loyalists, or the people that, for whatever reason, suddenly now their neighbor needs to die because he's Jewish. The neighbor they've
And
had for
most,
15 years.
yeah, and the men during the Nazi regime, especially those in charge. I'm not talking in general the police that he militarized into the SS and things like that. I'm talking Goebbels, some of the people at the top. Power position, you'll give me how many villas? Okay. Power position and you'll give me how much money to play with? Okay. Power position and you'll give me how many thousand Jews for free labor? Okay. I mean,
Or free
it all
experiment.
had to it all had to do with power and money and position.
Yep.
Hedgehog? Secretary of War Hedgehog? Seriously? He's like the poster boy for the drunk white nationalist college kid who flunked out. I don't want him as my Secretary of State. Like, are you
Right.
kidding me? That's why I call him Hedgehog.
Oh,
I mean,
you gotta
people,
grow up. He's
I
messy.
know. Little Rubio. So it's scary when you see just the basics, let alone if you're someone like me who lived in Germany a long time, has an international relations degree. I know way more than I wanted to know, have spoken to many Holocaust survivors. Just the nature of how it started. And that's exactly how it started with Mr. Frump. His first, term in office. It was a little mellow, but I'm going to be bold because I can't help it because I'm an ass and I'm going to say and do what I want.
Well,
And he
they
started
had
to
too
get away
many
with it.
people in place to kind of push
Allow.
back. They worked on that. They worked on that, and they worked with the Supreme Court is, and so once they got that momentum going,
Yeah.
then they knew they could do what they
For people
wanted.
who are, yeah, for people who are convinced they're not going to gut the 19th Amendment, pay close attention this summer, please, because who would have ever thought in a million years they'd gut the Voting Rights Act? And they've already taken away Roe v. Wade. They've already instigated proof of marriage and other subtle things, especially in the southern states. So, yeah, where do we go from here? Before the midterms, because the midterms aren't a one time singular, let's fix everything event.
If we
Things
have
take
midterms.
time. Things take time. Yeah. So
Well, it's
maybe
going to
we'll
take a
pick up.
long, even if we get those people out, which I feel it should be more of a trial than whatever, but maybe I shouldn't
Hello,
say that.
Nuremberg.
But I
Nuremberg.
just, the, the, the human right violations, I just, I don't
It's too much.
understand the constitutional violations, but, it's going to take a long time to fix it.
I
It's going
think
to take a
so.
long
And
time. I
the
think that's when the
violation.
restructuring would be the best, to
Yeah.
actually since this is an issue, instead of having 27 amendments and three this and a bill, let's just get rid of that and write it like this and be
Right.
done. And just have a simple, I mean, 10 things or whatever it is. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. And they've got to get rid of Citizens United. They've got to get rid of the lobbying and the insider
Yes.
trading. They got to get the money out of the politics because, I mean, if you're going against somebody and the other person is $30 million, I mean, people are like, you won. I'm like, gee, you think? I mean, you could flood the
Right.
airways and flood it. I mean, and people are susceptible, whatever the word is, to that. They hear a rumor and they you know,
It
like
takes
when the whole I don't really like Hillary, and then turned into I don't like Kamala's laugh and Kamala, excuse me, and I don't, they pick out these weird little things that have been amplified, and I'm like, that's the
tell,
reason? Like,
Tallarico's a vegan. Okay. What? Tallarico's a vegan. That's all they got right now. So don't be nice.
okay, but
Hit
he's from
back.
Texas. That's why. He's from Texas.
I
I
know,
raised the
but it's
beef, they ate the
right.
beef, the barbecue, the beef. It's all about the beef and the barbecue.
Oh
So,
my
I
God.
mean, that's like to them,
Yeah.
I would think it's a little more personal, but and
Yeah.
see why all these things matter. I don't, that's the part I want to look at the person, see how they interact with other people, the type of things they talk about. Are they talking about access and equality, or are they talking about consolidating power and cutting other people? I think that's why more women vote Democratic is because all those things they list as leftist are empathy and
Yeah.
mutual aid and all. I'm like, those are to me common, basic
Very,
human
very.
kindness. Like it's okay to be
Yeah.
empathetic with somebody. Like what? How is that a weakness? It's
I don't
crazy to
know.
me.
And I think part of it is identity. Like I said, you're conditioned over generations to act a certain way, accept certain things, and you're kind of going to keep going because it's easy. I mean, again, are you going to react when it finally
Well, it's the
hits you?
status quo, so the people in power are going to ride it as long and hard as they can.
Sure.
And I think they're feeling the wobble of the tires now. That's why the grifting is just really out in the open. And they're trying to shove the commemorative bill, make more money, and the crypto, and just shove it. They're just trying as hard as they can to just gather as much as they can.
As much
I
as
don't
they
know how
can.
people don't see that. It's just all over the place. The
I don't
fact that
know.
they tax records were leaked and then what it showed, I'm like, our data's leaked all the time. I can sue them for $10 billion. What
Exactly.
kind of logic? And you're suing yourself. You are the government. What?
You are right. Crazy.
God. Yeah.
Another topic, another episode. Thanks for thanks for joining us this week. Any comments or concerns, please feel free to list them below, or reach out privately at dandelionspiritpodcast@gmail.com. Always open to hear what you guys are thinking about. And as always, make today your peaceful day.
Protect your spirit.
That's right. Bye for now.